Mark Stone in Beijing. Well, joining me here in the Gherkin is Jeremy Summers, who heads the Business Crime and Regulation Department at the law firm Slater and Gordon. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Good evening.
So China says GSK is corrupt. GSK says it's not. What do you make of it?
Well, allegations are just allegations. At the moment, the underlying conduct is in China and is being dealt with in China. What could be significant about this is that it could impact on GSK here in the UK, and indeed could have an impact on the wider business community, and that's because of the Bribery Act and the corporate offence.
Just talk us through the Bribery Act. You're referring to, of course, the UK Bribery Act.
Indeed, the UK Bribery Act.
What does it mean, and how does it encompass alleged crimes overseas?
An act committed by a UK individual or a UK company can be prosecuted under the Bribery Act, notwithstanding that it occurred overseas, but more particularly, the Bribery Act at its heart has a corporate offence of failing to prevent bribery. So if these allegations were proved and there was misconduct in China, then it would be open potentially for the British authorities to take proceedings here against the company.
So once again, we emphasise that these are merely allegations.
Indeed.
But your point, if they were proved to be true, does that mean GSK would be in the dock twice, once in China, once here?
Potentially. I don't know whether there is a corporate offence in China, but certainly under the auspices of the Bribery Act, they could be in the dock here, could face an unlimited fine, and could face debarment from government contracts indefinitely.
In your view, is it possible to do business in China, be successful, be profitable, without paying bribes?
That is in many ways the million-dollar question. It is an issue which is an area which historically has had difficulties.
Yeah.
Transparency International obviously has it fairly well up and on its index, but there are a number of companies that have over the years been able to conduct business successfully in China. There is a greater need for checks and balances in countries like that.
And in fairness to the Chinese, they do recognise their own corruption problem, and boy, do they stamp down on it.
Indeed, and they are certainly not alone, and it would be wrong to suggest that China is the only country where such difficulties arise.
I suppose the real issue for GSK is this. Was this the wrongdoing of a single rogue operator or a couple of people, or is it systemic?
Indeed, and from a UK perspective, if it was sufficiently systemic and the wrongdoing went sufficiently high up the organisation, then the company could be prosecuted for corruption as well as the individuals.
Going back to your point about the UK Bribery Act, in cases where companies have been found guilty, what is the typical punishment?
Well, it will depend on the scale, the nature, the length of any corruption, but it's a fine at large. It is an unlimited fine. It can also give rise to debarment. So if you have companies that are competing for government contracts, they can be prohibited indefinitely from tendering for government contracts, and that could, in a worst-case scenario, bring an end to a company's business.
I mean, the problem with GSK is that, one, it's very big and has a huge, deep pocket. So if the authorities were thinking of fining it, they could go for the jackpot. But equally, you know, this is a flagship British company. This is one of the few sectors in the world where we lead the way.
Indeed, and there's an interesting juxtaposition in that coming in next year, or intended to come in next year, is the US style of deferred prosecution agreement. Now that won't be in time for the purposes of this investigation. But I think authorities in general, because of what happened, for example, to Arthur Anderson, are keen to ensure that punishment, prosecution, sanction is proportionate and allows the ongoing retention of business so that hundreds of thousands of people around the world don't lose their jobs.
Indeed. Jeremy Summers, many thanks. Nice to see you.
Thank you.